Hello everybody, it is me, Game Penguin 21, and today congratulations Nintendo, you have finally caught up to the worst of the gaming industry. So, what happened? Well, of course, as I'm recording this, the Nintendo Direct happened, and holy Jesus, did it ever cause a big old schism between Nintendo and stuff. Now, Nintendo themselves haven't been on the best of track records so far for various reasons, one of which being Pocket Pair, another which being that Switch 2 hasn't had a number of things for a while, etc., etc., etc. Now, what the hell happened in the time since then? Well, the Nintendo Direct happened, and, well, there's a lot of stuff to go over. I'm going to go over it very quickly in this video here, just at the start so we can get everything ready and going for it, and then I'm going to put out a video for it as well. So, with all that being said, here's what ended up happening for the Nintendo Direct. Now, overall, the actual value of games seems to be going quote-unquote up, and Nintendo themselves is sort of leading the charge with $80 games and supposedly $90 games for physical editions. Now, I don't think that those physical editions themselves will actually be $90, as there seems to be some miscommunication on that. The possibility of them being there is one of those things that, well, leads to the belief that some people think that the actual next GTA will be $100, but holy Jesus, the actual games and themselves are going to be huge, with the Nintendo Switch 2 itself being more powerful, yes, but also costing around $500 to $600. Which, I mean, again, not terrible, but overall, for what you're getting, get a Steam Deck. Steam Deck is actually a much better value for the same, if not even less, prices that you can even find. Quite interesting. But again, if you want more physical games, you're going to have to do some very around it. But again, at the same time, people will say like, oh, well, you can have the exclusives, blah, 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 blah. So whatever the heck internally. Now, overall, the actual games themselves seems to at least be kind of sort of being okay with a Mario Kart / Forza type thing, and as well as several other stuff, which everyone thought that the Nintendo Direct was actually okay, but whenever the actual prices and things for stuff dropped, but we'll get into that in a bit here. Overall, I think that the Nintendo Direct did good jobs for Nintendo at first, but overall is going to hurt Nintendo in the long term because of various reasons. Now, of course, I did want to at least start this off with a little bit of the PlayStation salt because I have nowhere else to really put this into the end of the month, because I already recorded my post-end of month thing, which is going to be doing it next week, but this one's probably going to be replacing that. So someone here basically said that Bro was so mad that Grok called PlayStation third party. He said that it was fake and standing down to the mental gymnastics. Now, this was a big thing on Twitter for a while. To quickly explain it, Grok, the actual disgustingly, weirdly named AI system that Twitter now has because Elon Musk runs it, was being one of those things where people were trying to use it for console warring. This might be a more substantial thing, but I'm just going to quickly express it here. This is dumb. Full stop. Asking an AI to try to explain shit like this, it's stupid, dumb, and don't do this because it's very annoying. But, you know, that's just me. But moving on to the actual things here, one thing that Nintendo actually is apparently doing is an upgrade path, which Barp here basically said, Brop here, I guess, basically says Nintendo offers paid upgrades for its games for the Nintendo Switch 2s. I suppose this is anti-consumer too. Yes. Very much so. This is awful. You do not need to pay more to upgrade your games. That makes no sense. Don't do this. This is stupid. If you do this, you are kind of dumb. No. But yeah, it is anti-consumer 110,000%. Like, just because one company does it and calls it anti-consumer doesn't mean that enough another company does it. That doesn't still make it that doesn't still make it like the opposite of what it is. It's anti-consumer both ways. Doesn't matter. Next up here, we have Pure PlayStation, one of the recurring characters on this channel, and he's going to be recurring throughout this video. I'm just going to sprinkle him in for a couple of times. Where Nintendo said, he basically says, WTF, this is the biggest Nintendo L ever looking at an outrage for $70 PS5 and Xbox Series X games. The iOS graphics don't deserve this pricing. The outrage is going to be historic or just fold. Look, here's the thing. Nintendo charging $80 still is bad, and Sony charging $70 is, again, awful, terrible. Don't fucking buy them if you really just want to save some money. It is just so stupid how people continue to keep saying that pushing the prices for better games and stuff. Was like, oh. Like, where does that money even go? Not into the games, apparently. Not into the development of the games, apparently. So just, fucking no. Now, again, this is supposedly where the $90 thing comes from. And Jonathan kind of sums up the Nintendo Direct a little bit more. We're going to do that Jeff Keighley thing in a second here. But he basically sums up the following with Jeff Keighley talking about how this apparently launches June 5th. The same as Deltarune, the chapters also, by the way. With $4.99 with Mario Kart. Pre-orders are open to the 9th. With digital games now being $80. Jonathan coming in here with a retweet of $80 digital games, supposedly $90 for physical. That supposedly has been some miscommunication. Needing to pay for upgrades from the Switch. Games aren't even on the cartridge. The system is region locked because it's cheaper in Japan. What were they thinking? Good fucking question. And I'm not sure if that whole region locked in Japan thing is a thing, but I don't know. Just makes no sense to kind of lock it into local stuff, but it might be because of the tariffs on the US for one reason or another. Pertafish kind of comes in with the same thing here, talking about how online is still being paid for and the same UI for the first console. Lamau! And, basically saying the same thing as before. Moving on to the next one, we have Deflen with digital games are now $80, saying I'm out in 1.3 seconds. Couldn't agree more. This is a very funny, interesting thing. This is also from Shark Tank, by the way. And EP Leaf comes in with $80 United States for freaking code. Abysmal dog shit. I've not seen the edit of this, but that actually looks really funny. I kind of like it. Kind of cool. Next up here, we have B. Fumo with Does Nothing Wins with a picture of Gaben. Now, of course, this is, talking about how Steam has basically been doing nothing this whole time and completely and utterly winning for a long-ass time here. Quite interesting. So, yeah. Next up here, we have Electronic Larry Land, I guess, looking at the filthy pores whining about this, lol. If you aren't willing to pay at least $500 for the game, you have no respect for the makers and their media. Thank you, Mr. Nintendo. We termote oi. Ooh, I don't know how to pronounce that. But I'm fairly certain that this is obviously some sort of meme. If not, yikes on trikes here. But, this is just that one gif of it prints money. But, who's going to switch over to the Nintendo Switch 2? I don't know. It's very strange. Pseudo Gaslight with the good old Eldritch horror of the Fell Forward Again awards saying, wow, this Nintendo Direct is going to look so good. $80 for a digital game. I should never not trust Nintendo. Which, again, quite the interesting times to be alive here. Now, of course, we have pure PlayStation talking about how Nintendo is still 2 generations behind the PlayStation. I mean, Nintendo shat on their fan base with more anti-consumer stuff, and I'm talking more specifically about I think the anti-consumer thing, which, again, I'm not here to say that you're kind of being weird about it, but I really find it hypocritical how you could say, oh yeah, Nintendo's being so anti-consumer and so bad with their gamers, they're not even respecting them. When you get shit on by Sony the entire time, you get no respect for me because you decide to say, oh, this other company that's not the company that I simp for is basically doing this, so shit on them and not my company. I don't really have anything to say about that more. That person you love to hate that I brought up at the start of this thing basically talks about the $4.99 console with nothing but you can buy a virtual tour of how great it is straight out of Ready Player One's innovations we can monetize chapter Lamau. Now, if you remember, now for those of you who might not know that literary reference, the innovations we can monetize chapter for Ready Player One was, I think, about like IOI and the innovations that they wanted to do for the Nintendo. Not for the Nintendo, for the Oasis for one reason or another. Grenak basically, again, this is a retweet of that, talking about how they're making the Nintendo Switch 2 systems as an app while you can get Astro's Playroom for free. I mean, that was the Astro's Playroom, it is different. So, again, yeah, it still sucks, and there is the don't buy this. The virtual tour is just dumb, and that's just stupid. And then talking about the Switch UI, which here's the example of, quite interesting how this is practically the same thing. Again, if it ain't broke, don't twist it. The person you love to hate, continuing on this good old gravy train here, retweeting a person saying, did you say this about the PS5, seeing as how the PS5 UI is slightly cleaner and faster than the PS4 UI, blah, blah, blah. He said, no, the PS5 UI is actually a generational evolution from the PS4 UI, like the Xbox XMB before it. I don't really think so. I mean, again, it is another thing to add to the whole hypocrite pile where it's like, no, they didn't. They actually changed it and they made some like really cool thing. It's like actually 4K 60 and stuff. It's like, why? It's a UI. It doesn't need to be changed all that much. Plus, it was kind of, I think it was stealing inspiration from the Xbox stuff. So I don't know, it's just very strange to me. Next up here, we got Post Up saying $80 for games. I blame the PlayStation community. It's your fault. I'm not sure if this is a meme, but I kind of blame PlayStation in this context, at least a little bit. I also blame a little bit on the United States as well as several other things, but that's more of a personal thing. I mean, again, I don't think that they specifically did this. It's just like, it's really dumb how they continue to think, oh yeah, we'll just increase the price of games. The consuming mouth will just consume it and swallow it down like a good little whore. Ay, 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 ay. But yeah. Then we have a Zubby Tech. Oh goodness, Zubby Tech had an entire fucking article to write here, apparently, on this whole situation. So we're going to not really read through the whole thing, just read through a bit of it because I want to get through this. But he basically comes in here talking about how no prices were shown for the upgrade pack costs, how the Nintendo was to announce the Switch 2 on a live stream. And it's about $450 for outdated technology. The chip was ready in 2022, which I find, again, very ironic considering that most consoles, if not all consoles, use the same thing where they have older hardware that you pay a lot of money for. There's no OLED. It's physical games cost even more, allegedly. This seems to have been some sort of miscommunication thing. $80 games and games upgrade to higher resolution. That's really it. This is what I meant about the industry. Only an issue or huge fake outrage with PlayStation raising prices. No, it's not. There's been a ton of people that have been actually raising a stink about this fucking bullshit. And it's not like, oh yeah, just because it's the thing. It's not crickets from whispers and white. It's not. Because, again, there's a lot of people, at least even including in this video, that are crashing out on not only Twitter, but overall in the gaming media because, yeah, it's like, oh yeah, don't ask me about PlayStation prices when Nintendo just pulled this. We're still going to at you about PlayStation prices because both are awful. Again, just because one is awful and no one seems to be talking about it in your circles for whatever reason, doesn't mean that people aren't talking about it. This is the problem that I have with people like this who think that, oh yeah, because you guys are all ganging up on my company for unfair reasons. No, we have very fair reasons to gang up on any company that we deem to be bad. It's just how free speech and other stuff works. It's very dumb to assume that when one company does it and there's apparently no backlash, even though there is very much backlash, then you just like, oh yeah, you're being hypocritical because then you actually come over to my side and say that my stuff is doing bad. Both sides are doing just as equally terrible shit as the other. Two things can exist at once, apparently. This is the reason why I talk about these fanboys. It's so fucking dumb, dude. But Caleb coming in with Microsoft is committing Sudoku. Nintendo's greed is cannibalizing what goodwill they just acquired. All Sony has to do right now is release games and, oh, Never mind. Which, again, I just find a really, really fucking funny meme to be talking about because Sony's like, oh yeah, we'll just release some games to try to get some goodwill, and oh, right, we have nothing. Wamp, wamp. Next up, we have Mike Yabata saying it's a hard pass for the Switch 2. Again, bringing up a lot of the same stuff for basically that Nintendo, Zelda, and whatnot is going to be $80. This is bad. I'll stick with PC, skip Mario and Zelda for a while, which probably will get emulated at some point or another, where he says this, and this is, oh no, it's Alex kind of retweeting or posting a screenshot of apparently this same person, though I can't confirm it because the screenshot doesn't necessarily say it. But apparently this person then basically talked about how when they beat the game, they want to leave like a tip for an amazing game. Basically, this whole tweet here is about how this person wants to tip the people for a great game to give them even more money at the end of the game. Rather than just paying for the game and then playing through the product that they bought, they want to give them more money for it. I mean, while I understand this for, say, a free-to-play or a live service thing, he talks about things such as Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Elden Ring, and etc. While I love Elden Ring, and the Elden Ring's a pretty based thing to include in that, paying another, big amount of money for that game? I mean, maybe, but, just Elden Ring might be the exception, and even then I'd still want to get the DLC because they're just really good at it. So, overall, this is stupid. Games are already too expensive, and you want to pay more for games. Yikes. Now, there's someone here is retweeting Nintendo of America talking about the welcome tour to the Switch 2, saying this being a, quote, paid title was the most egregious thing the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, in my opinion. Even if it's cheap, it's just an odd move to have to pay for a tech showcase that's supposed to introduce them to the hardware, in my opinion, especially when Astro Playroom was free on PlayStation. Yes, as another interesting thing, Desk Job, by the way, for the Valve Steam Deck, yeah, that one was also free. And you didn't even necessarily need a Steam Deck in order to play it. You just needed a game controller or something. So you could still technically play it on your PC, but just not as efficiently as on a Steam Deck, because again, that was one of the things that they could. And it also did a lot of the same things and actually was an interesting creative story, kind of. And again, was free for anyone who bought it, or even just on Steam. Weird. Colin coming in here with a very interesting roundabout to the story to kind of bring it on down here, where they said Nintendo have done it. They have caught up to the industry standard hardware and have a hybrid console with tons of exclusive IPs. I think they won. And then the response is with a very interesting meme of Mike Wazowski, where came back to this after seeing the $80 games, which I think the majority of people basically have the same thing here. And while, yes, the last time that we saw Tipster was kind of doing some very bad stuff, I kind of agree with this final take to round off the video, saying they haven't caught up for shit with abysmal dog shit and whatnot. So, neat. Overall, what is the final takeaway from this video? Garbage. I mean, that's really all that this is. It's just kind of garbage and a little bit of those good old anti-consumer practices that everyone loves to see from good old gaming companies. And while, yes, a lot of this does seem to be in response to, say, specific international incidents or things like that, or something political, I don't know. I don't fucking care. Overall, this is kind of bad that they're even considering about any of this ideas. And even if Switch 2 was the greatest thing since sliced bread, which it most likely won't be, this stuff that Nintendo is doing, is that they're pulling a page, the worst pages, mind you, from fucking PlayStation here, that's bad. They shouldn't be doing that. Stop pulling shit from PlayStation's playbook or gaming playbook in general. It's just so dumb. But anyway, I think that'll about do it for this quick old video on this one. This one's probably going to be the one that I replace for a different video, but hey, who the hell cares? At the end of the day, I just need to get another video out for you guys because I know you guys love my content, and this one I wanted to just expedite through. Yeah. My new stuff coming out this month is going to be me streaming on Sundays more often. Come to my weekend live streams of me playing DJ stuff on Twitch. I have a new single coming out, Take Me Higher, that's going to be sometime this month, probably towards the middle of the month, so look out for that. I have some actual gameplays coming out, probably a new mini-series of me progressively getting more intoxicated playing a specific roulette game. Overall, I think that'll about do it for this episode of I Rant Into This Microphone for way too long about things that apparently people care about a little bit too much in some regards. My name is GamePenguin21, and a peace off.